A boiler room series? We're not even original anymore. Let's talk about New Nightmare.
Market, common mark.
I'm doing a film about my nightmares as I'm dreaming them. In order for the movie to continue, it was dependent on me having more nightmares. Well, fortunately, I did.
After 5 subpar sequels and a short-lived TV series, Wes Craven returned to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise for a rejuvenation. Gone was the over-the-top cartoonish tone of the later films it wore like a badge of honor, and in was the dark, mature tone of the first film. Now, what set this film apart from the other films in the franchise was the introduction of a meta-narrative. Freddy Krueger is real, and he's haunting actress Heather Lagenkamp, Nancy, the final girl from the first and third film. Wanting to appease fans, New Line Cinema is working on a new Nightmare on Elm Street film with Wes Craven coming back to write and direct. The first film was the result of nightmares Craven had. Having nightmares again, Wes is inspired to return, though his dreams might actually be real. This was Wes's reintroduction into the franchise after writing and directing the original film and co-writing Nightmare on Elm Street 3: The Dream Warriors. When crafting New Nightmare, Wes pulled from reality, incorporating aspects of Heather Lagenkamp's life into the story. Her real-life husband is makeup effects artist David Leroy Anderson, who's responsible for some of the best makeup of the past 25 years. You got Nutty Professor, Men in Black, Dawn of the Dead, and more, having won 2 Oscars for the former 2. Her fictional husband, Chase, is part of the special effects team, working on a new Freddy glove. A story thread where Heather is stalked by a crazy fan actually happened and was worked into the script with Heather Lagenkamp's approval. When New Line asks Heather to star in this new Freddy film, she's kind of hesitant. She's having vivid nightmares of Freddy. When her child starts saying some really creepy things in an unsettling voice, she's convinced Freddy Krueger is real and is hellbent on killing her and her family. Released 2 years before Scream, this was Craven's first attempt at a meta-narrative. Unlike Scream, New Nightmare isn't fully realized. Craven doesn't use this as a vehicle to comment on the horror genre itself. That honor actually goes to Kevin Williamson. Instead, he uses this opportunity to take jabs at the other films in the franchise. The film does lightly explore generational trauma and mental health, probably unintentionally. Who's going to believe the lead actress of a horror franchise when she is claiming that the villain of the franchise she starred in is killing people in real life? But that thread is dropped in favor of a more slasher, final girl type ending. Craven does use Krueger to talk about the creative ideas that permeate your head, for better or for worse. A Nightmare on Elm Street was the result of a dream Craven had, that's true. And now he's having nightmares again. It only seems fitting for him to return to the franchise. Yes, even the title of this film is meta. The one thing this film feels spectacularly hard at is exploring how Craven, John Saxon, and Robert Englund are impacted by a real Freddy Krueger. Again, like the mental health subplot, it is only lightly touched on and then forgotten. And its ending relishes entire slasher fare. There was actually room in here for a smart twist with Saxon and Lagenkamp that isn't really fully explored. The film ultimately suffers from latching onto what made Freddy Krueger an icon in the 80s and early 90s. And there was a drop segment where Freddy would have been driving a Freddy Krueger mobile, but that segment was dropped, one source claiming that it was for budgetary reasons and others for tonal reasons. His complete redesign is as scary as when he first entered the market in 1984. There's just something about those light blue eyes that make his stare so menacing. But the 90s maximalism of his new bio glove edges on corny, and his light quipping diminishes from his unnerving look. I started writing this the day after watching it on Max, and it's been beyond difficult for me to actually remember anything from this film. To clarify, because I know someone will mention it in the comments below, this isn't really a Freddy Krueger movie. It is a demon taking the form of Freddy Krueger, so this actually might be the first film in the franchise that technically isn't really a film in the franchise. Other than the redesign, there's nothing memorable about the film, which is a real shame. You know, New Nightmare isn't a terrible film, despite all of my gripes. It's frustrating, is what it is. The film had a lot of potential to explore horror films in this new light. And I don't know if Craven was actually wanting to explore that and just wanting to get back into the franchise in a new, cool way. But yeah, this thing really dropped the ball. If you haven't seen this entry in the franchise, it is worth watching. Though if you were a fan of it in the past, its quality has diminished significantly. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna head back to bed.
Ha ha ha.